How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. So got another stump talk with you here, just mainly thinking about real world things when it comes to like failure of civility or preparedness or just worst case scenario type of thinking, you know, that kind of mindset. And one thing that occurred to me a little while ago was, how do you tell if someone is a legitimate shooter or a reasonable professional or knows what they're talking about or is a reliable individual when it comes to weapon systems and gear and stuff like that? Sure, just because you have expensive items doesn't mean you actually know how to utilize them. And just because you have surplus or very older style plain gear doesn't mean that individual doesn't know how to use them exceptionally well. And we often judge books by their cover very often. Human beings typically do that quite a bit, and it's hard not to, because visually we take in a lot of information and then make assumptions based upon what we have saw in the past. So it's kind of a common thing. But it's interesting because I had a few people go to the range with me. Never been to the range with them before. I talked to them, you know, a little bit, and I was like, okay, maybe this, you know, individual knows what he's doing, so we'll invite him out and stuff like that. I don't really know. So he comes out to the range, you know, shake hands, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, we talk, BS just a little bit, and then he's just like, okay, well, let's go shoot a little bit. So we go set up, right, rifle range. He pulls out a rifle, fairly well equipped, right, expensive, has a lot of time into it and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, cool, very good. Doesn't mean that he knows what he's doing. He sits down or like lays down on the ground and be like, hey, you mind if I, he asks, mind if I shoot first? I'm like, yeah, sure, what do you want to shoot at? And he's like, I don't know, let's just do quick zero. Can I just shoot at the 300 meter target real quick? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's send it. He puts 3 rounds immediately, just sits down, goes up, and he says, hey, can you spot me? Flips the safety off, boom, hit steel 300. Boom, hits steel and hit steel 3 times in a row. And he says, cool, I'm gonna go out to 400. He sends it out to 400. 2 rounds, impact, impact. Cool, let's send it out to 550, right? With an AR platform, right? Mind you not, LPVO. Goes out to 500, shoots 2 rounds, that's 550 rounds. Hit and hit. And he just flips it off. He's like, I'm pretty happy with that. That's pretty good for this rifle. And right there, in my opinion, I knew this individual had his gear squared away. Because it is very rare, and you could probably contest, all my viewers, to go somewhere with somebody, sit down, and just shoot immediately right off a target. Now, I'm not saying everybody can't do that. It's just, that's how you know that someone has their weapon system squared away, in essence. You'll see the opposite aspect of, hey, they have some nice things, or maybe they don't, and stuff like that, and they sit down and be like, oh, I haven't sighted it in yet, and I'm trying to figure it out, or, you know, oh, or they're talking a big game, and then they sit down, and then they shoot, and they can't hit anything, and then they're like, oh, it's the rifle, and the rifle's the problem, and, you know, maybe it's this sight, and it's probably weird, and they just come up with excuses after excuses. Now, an excuse or just a circumstance, of course, is okay. You know, as in like, hey, I have this rifle, haven't sighted in, I hope you're aware of that, right? Cool, that's a normal statement, right? Okay, maybe it happens. But if someone does this professionally, I imagine they have, in my opinion, what I do is I have, because I'm always playing with rifles, changing sighting systems out and stuff like that, but I always have like 2 rifles that are always sighted in. I have to have at least like 2 AR platforms, in my opinion, that are 100% ready to go that I can grab right now. They're not unsighted in, or they're 100% sighted in. So like other weapon systems I can toy with off to the side and enjoy. Now, some people don't have the money for that, and that's fine. Maybe they have 1 rifle and they like toying with it, but that starts to cut into your capability, because if you're not actively going out, we're like, hey, let's swap this sight, and then months go by and then you're like, hey man, come out and shoot with us. Or, hey, something real world is happening and I need you to grab your rifle. And then you're like, oh man, I don't have it sighted in, right? So that's how you can tell with a lot of people. And I was fairly impressed, which granted I reciprocated and I said, cool, I'll shoot now. Shot 300, shot 400, shot 550, hits, right? Had some misses in there. ACOG, he was more magnified than I was, but ultimately I was still able to engage steel size or 18-inch or 12 by 18-inch targets out at 550 meters with this platform right here. That's an 11.5, where some people say, no, that's impossible, but I have footage of that. I don't even know if I'll roll it in, but if I do. But that's honestly how you can tell, even if you are, or if someone else is a legitimate individual. Do they have gear squared away in the moment? Could you just go, hey man, let's go? And they're like, yep, sure. And then they sit down and they perform it. That's how you tell. Immediately I knew this dude was professional and knew what he was doing because of that reason right there. Plus he had a lot of the gear, and when talking to him, he had a lot of the right things to say and proper things, and very humble. He wasn't going, oh, I can shoot 1,000 meters and blah, 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 which jokingly we attempted to with 5.56. We're like, let's just try for 1,000. We did not hit with 5.56 62 grain whatsoever. Granted, that's way out there, especially with this thing, but we were messing around with it. But prior to that, all those shots within 500 meters and in were hits. And that pretty much well speaks of weapon is squared away, you have the discipline to square a weapon system away and keep it squared away, and to have the proficiency to do it. So, I imagine you guys have met people both ways on this subject, but I just wanted to bring it up. That's kind of how you can tell, even, just talking to people. A lot of people talk big game and they're like, oh, I got this red dot, and that's fine, they're hobbyists. And there's nothing wrong with that. At least America, where I live, man, you can do whatever you want pretty much in the hobby world. You just want to buy one AR with a cheap red dot and have fun with it? Sure, man, send it. Just don't try to claim anything that you're not, and that's what like this whole channel is. I have never claimed to be like, oh, I'm a special forces operator and I know everything. No, I'm not. I don't do that kind of stuff. Sure, do I use weapon systems in my daily career? Have I been places around the world? Sure. Have I experienced things? Yeah. But there's a lot of people out there that experience way more and know way more than me. It's just humbling yourself to understand where you fit on the puzzle, right? And that's all this intent is, just me talking about it. Yeah, sure, so what? I got, close to $5,000, $6,000 in a rifle, whatever. Because I know an older rifle that I have is just almost as capable. And it's, $600, $700. So it doesn't really matter to the price and stuff like that. Going on a rant, but I typically do this stuff on Stump Talks if my subscribers know. But I don't know. If you guys like this kind of stuff, want to hear talking about things and bringing things up about circumstances, then hey, this is the right place for you, because we do this quite a bit. Talking about all kinds of weird stuff, right? But it is what it is. We have PayPal, we have Patreon. Patreon gets to see this stuff way before anybody else because they're my priority. They see behind the scenes stuff that'll never be released to YouTube or Rumble or whatever it is. And yeah, they get first crack at it. So if you would like to be one of those, then consider taking a look on there. Heck, just look at it. You don't even have to pay for it. There's a lot of stuff on Patreon that I post to everyone. So you don't even have to be a subscriber or a paying member to receive some of the behind the scenes stuff. So some of it is. But just go take a look at Patreon regardless, because there's things out there that don't make it to YouTube. Is what it is. Okay, off my soapbox and push it off to the side. All right, so if you guys like this kind of stuff, want to see more, definitely like, subscribe, greatly appreciate it. I hope I got you thinking. Hope you all have a great day.